Good morning, everyone, and welcome to IGTV. We have with us today William H. Murray. Bill is going to deliver the InfraGard editorial on planning infrastructure, threat, and vulnerability. Good morning, Bill, and thank you. Go ahead.
Good morning. Daily, the DHS publishes by email a recap of open source, mostly media, intelligence on the security of the national infrastructure. This report, styled the InfraGard Alert, is available to all registered InfraGard members. The report covers and is organized by major infrastructure sectors. While most sectors are silent as to threat, the energy sector, the first one in the report, publishes the physical and cyber threat levels, sans the colors. Except that the alert originates with DHS, there is no source, authority, or rationale for this assessment. On April 27th, both of the threat levels went from elevated to low. Not to guarded, but to low. What happened? Well, we did kill Osama bin Laden. Since threat has both source and rate, if the source goes away, then the rate must be zero. Really? Was terrorism originating with bin Laden the only or even the major threat to our energy sector or our infrastructure? Every daily report contains tens of incidents, many of which were reported only by local media. There were tens on the 26th, and there were tens on the 27th. Apparently, the background threat level has not changed. Said another way, if intelligence guides action, then the intelligence is hidden in the data. Moreover, this intelligence, such as it is more suited to executing than planning. Let's look at one example. On May 11th, the ICS, that is the Industrial Control System, CERT, warned that the industrial control systems are at risk. Now, this is partly an instance of a problem that we have discussed here before, that is of sloppy use of special language. The ICS CERT is really talking about vulnerability, not risk. The vulnerability in question was an implementation-induced flaw in popular control software. If one listens to the ICS CERT, one would be hiding and patching the vulnerable controls. It's cheap, it's good security practice, but it does not reduce our losses, does not make us more efficient, does not make us more resilient. Moreover, the operators of those controls will tell you that they are not being attacked or abused, and that anything that makes them less available may reduce their ability to mitigate the routine threats that they must deal with. One more. This morning you heard that 99% of Android phones leak. Not. 99% of Android phones had a vulnerability that, if attacked, might leak. To the extent that intelligence sources, government or otherwise, have focused us on terrorism originating with bin Laden or even Al-Qaeda, they have not served us well. Similarly, to the extent that they focus us on vulnerabilities, attacks, or even threats, rather than risk, they do not serve us well. 2 generations ago, Courtney warned us that natural events always trump man-made, and error always trumps malice. If one accepts that Courtney is right, what would one do differently? What impact would it have on our infrastructure strategy? In 2008, the National Infrastructure Assurance Council, which advises the President on the security of the critical infrastructure, published a report entitled Infrastructure Partnership Strategic Assessment Study. This report really was intelligence. It really was strategic intelligence. It emphasized the necessity of resilience in our national infrastructure, the ability to recover from or adjust easily to misfortune or change. We need the Timex strategy. We need to be able to take a licking and keep on ticking. We need to avoid single points of failure. prefer robust and diverse components, over-provision hardware, and make copies of our data and software. Of course, the internet is designed not to have single points of failure. However, while the hardware is reasonably diverse, the software is both fragile and homogeneous. In fact, if not by design and intent. Making sufficient sense of intelligence that is available to us, not to say bombards us, so that we can arrive at the right strategies is difficult. Every now and then we must step back from the trees and look at the forest. Because the internet is resistant to change, changing strategies, for example, from hiding and patching to resilience, will not be easy. But of course, that is why we are called professionals and are paid the big bucks. Thank you. See you next week.